Hey guys, working on a 1999 Johnson 200 Ocean Pro. Yours might be a slightly different color than this one because I've repainted this one. But so started out, I lost all 3 cylinders on this side of the engine. Wasn't getting any fire, and did some research, and most of the research all come up with the problem. Hard to see. There's a switch right under here. Shift intercept switch. So if that shift intercept switch goes out, that's usually the cause for losing the whole bank on the left side of the engine. But I disconnected the switch and I still had a problem, so eliminated the switch. So I went on to trying to diagnose what other component it could have been, and I found a really good video from another YouTuber, which I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. In his video, he gives you step by step how to take a ohms meter, voltmeter, and test the step by step how to test the power pack, how to test the timer base, and the stator, which is under the flywheel. So when I was doing my testing, I've never replaced any of these parts. I've owned this boat since almost brand new. So when I was testing, my stator tested that it was okay, but it wasn't great. Timer base completely failed the test, and so I knew timer base was my problem. So I ordered a timer base, ordered a stator, and I figured while I was at it, because I do plan on keeping this thing for as long as it'll go, I went ahead and ordered the power pack also. Just replace all my components and don't have to worry about it again. Fix my problem. Now when you replace the timer base, you have to retime the engine. When I first fired it up, it was idling probably 2,000 RPM. So I knew my timing was way off. The adjustment for the timing is right here. So I went ahead and I slowed the timing down some. I got the idle pretty close to where it used to be, but that only gets you into the ballpark. The proper way to time this thing is you need to put a test wheel on it. The safest way, you need to put a test wheel on it. You got to run it at wide open throttle. I don't have a test wheel or a tank to put it in, so I'm going to be taking this out onto the lake. My wife's going to be running the boat, and I'm going to get back here with a timing light and time this thing and film doing it, and hopefully it'll help somebody that else that needs to do this. This procedure will work on quite a few different engines. This particular engine, I don't have to guess what my timing is. It's got a sticker right here, so I know my timing is 18 degrees. And here on the flywheel, I'm going to retouch up these marks, but I guess probably from the factory they put a little white dot right here on 18 degrees. So that's to help see that when you're timing it, and hopefully you'll see that later in the video when we actually time this thing. All right, I'll see you on the lake.
You'll live.
All right. I'll probably stand on this side. So, number one, spark plug. Top right hand side. Damn it, here comes another boat. And we gotta put some juice to this thing. Yep, I saw him. Go to the power coming in for the starter. And here's the ground coming in for the starter. Go for it. Yep. Timing's a little low, but when I loosen this, I didn't see it. Let's see, we're gonna go half one. All right, let's do it again. Well, wait till you get straight before you hammer it, though. Yeah, I'm ready. Hey, you're pretty close. So I think so we were at about 20 degrees right there. So let's go half and one. And we're gonna go 1.5 in. Yep. head on 18 degrees, wider open. All right, this is gonna be a pain in the butt.
My booty's hanging out for it.
God dang it.
It's called sawgrass.
All right, maybe I got a bite on it. God dang it.
Baby, I'm gonna put this back in neutral.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't in neutral. You were hauling reverse and my brain went to reverse with it. Never put back in neutral.
Frick. All right. Now I got a good bite there. I can make sure she's tight now. God dang it. Magnets moved my wrench. The magnets moved my wrench. All right, so we're gonna have to go one more time to confirm that now that I've tightened it, we're still at 18 degrees. But before we do that, I do want to, so we slowed it down. How's it going? Okay? Yeah, we're good. Just doing some timing. Okay. All right, just fire it up and let it idle for a second. What RPM are we idling?
Just below 10.
What's it idling at? I mean, it sounds okay. I think that's high, but it sounds right. Yep. Just go to neutral, leave it running. Tap it and see what we're running. That boat's not in front of us, right? Okay, between 8 and 9. All right, put it in gear. Put it in gear. What's the RPM? Go ahead and neutral and shut it off.
I'm not deaf, son.
We're going to unhook everything, and I may need to still adjust this one a little bit, but I think we're good for now. I gotta pull that flywheel back off and lube this timer base because it's too tight. I don't like how tight it is.
It's definitely turning me the wrong direction.
Is the boat coming?
Yeah, from behind us.
All right, guys. While we were out there timing this thing, which we did get it to our 18 degrees wide open, ran really good. But I noticed, first I thought I had a problem with the shift cable, but because it felt a little tight, and I noticed when we were taking off a couple times, it stuttered and bogged and then picked up. So I come home and the timer base was sticking. So right now, nice and smooth. But when I first come home and would do this right here, it would stick, and this would go forward, and it would have to rely on the spring that's in here to get enough tension on it to pull the timer base forward. So I'm going to show you what I did to fix it. So when I bought the new timer base, now this is not OEM timer base or stator or this, I bought all CDI. I've always had good luck with the CDI stuff, so I bought CDI, but it is not OEM. So I think that was part of the reason why it was sticking. So the timer base did not come with a new one of these right here. See this plastic piece? So this locks in to that groove, and then these little tabs hold it down. So what was happening, and I'm gonna go ahead and clean all of this and put some new grease in there, but what was happening, I think, is this old OEM retainer ring, which if I had this to do over again, I would buy a brand new retainer ring from CDI, which would, you know, I would imagine is match cast to their product anyhow. But in this old one, the plastic over 20 years old could have just be swollen a little bit. But so anyhow, what I did, I took sandpaper. I took 100 first, and I sandpapered all of the points of this that's going to touch the timer base. I sandpapered it all with it 100 first, took a little material off of it. I came back, hit it with 320, and then I hit it with 800 because I didn't want it to be rough, because this timer base has got to ride on here nice and smooth. And doing that seems to have fixed it. Seems to be running smooth now. All right, let me go get some grease. Now when you go to put this back on, get it to where you can see the groove, because you can take your thumbs on both sides here, push it together a little bit, and make sure it seats down in, seated in. See, that feels pretty smooth now. That was not smooth before. Not smooth at all. All right. This little tab. If you can't see what I'm doing there, you'll be able to see it on the other side. I don't have any wires on this side, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that side. Now this side, I do have some of my stator wires. Get that under there. And that one under there. Feels pretty smooth now. Okay. All right, here, this little guy is our keeper. I don't know if you can see in there. This will slide into the groove of that timer base. The timer base cannot come up once that's in there. Yeah, I don't like that. That's too tight on the wires. We're gonna go this way. This will probably be easier with a smaller screwdriver. Put a little grease on your threads. I run grease on the threads on everything. On my marine stuff. Oh, it's worth mentioning, if you have to change your brain here, power packs, I put this thing all together the first time, fired up, no volts and no tack. So both the tack and the voltage run off the stator. Here's the main connector for the stator. And what happened was, when I pushed this together, one of the connectors on this side, one of the wires on this side pushed back, didn't make the connection. That was loud. So I got in here and I pulled this connection back apart, and I put two little marks with a marker on the wires. Push the wires all the way back in, put 2 little marks. That way when I push this back together, I could see if these wires tried to push back out. And they tried to push back out, excuse me, a couple times. I had to do it a couple times to get it finally seated right. And once I was seated right, she was good to go. Another thing I think I would mention, I believe it's covered in that other video I was telling you about, is your flywheel. If you're having issues with these parts, check your flywheel. Make sure your magnets are good. All these magnets, they just glue in. You can buy replacements if any of these are cracked, broken, broke loose. Mine all look good. These are your magnets. Obviously they're going to generate your power off your stator. Then in here there is a magnet here. This magnet is going to run your timer base, and it's got, I don't know exactly how it works, but I noticed there's a notch there and a notch there. Probably has something to do with how it fires. Not sure. But I do know, I've heard that if there's any chips or anything on this magnet, I've heard it will not work right. So. Do not get your hands in any compromising position here, especially with the starter when you go to do this, because this joker's got some magnetic power and it will hurt you. Line up keyway as close as possible. I want to replace this nut. I'm gonna order one of these. All right, and get my torque wrench, properly torque that nut, and oh, let's see before we let's see. This back up. There's a tiny bit of hesitation in it when it gets all the way up here. And that could be because of the wiring right here. Let's see. Ah, that was just the wiring. So make sure your wiring's good and freed. But before, here's it idling. Before, when we would go to give it throttle, this was sticking back. So I was getting throttle and the timing would lag before, and then it would catch up. It's good to go. I'm gonna put it back on the lake just to confirm that I've fixed it. And but I'm pretty confident she's good to go now. All right, guys, how's it? I hope this helps somebody out.